Welcome back to Slumber Lore, your peaceful refuge in the quiet of the night. Tonight, we resume our grand journey, venturing even deeper into the mysteries of the ancient world. Leave the restless thoughts of the day behind as we drift towards jungles that hide forgotten legends and descend into calm oceans where sunken kingdoms sleep. From the submerged streets of Thonis-Heracleion to the silent, starry cliffs of Mesa Verde. Take a slow, deep breath, close your eyes, and let the timeless whispers of these lost cities guide you into a deep, uninterrupted rest. La Ciudad Blanca, the white city between legend and discovery. Deep within the rainforests of eastern Honduras lie places where sunlight rarely reaches the forest floor. From above, the jungle appears endless, stretching across the landscape like an unbroken sea of green that has concealed its secrets for centuries. Towering trees create a living roof overhead while ancient vines weave through their branches. The humid air is filled with the sounds of insects, distant birds, and flowing rivers, creating an environment where nature dominates every direction. From the sky, there is little to distinguish one part of the forest from another. The dense canopy stretches toward the horizon, hiding rivers, valleys, and landscapes that remained largely unseen for generations. For centuries, explorers spoke of a hidden city buried somewhere beneath these forests. Stories describe white stone structures reclaimed by nature, inspiring generations of expeditions that often returned with more questions than convincing answers. According to generations of stories, somewhere beneath these vast rainforests lay a forgotten settlement. Roads, plazas, and temples were said to have been swallowed by the jungle, leaving nature to conceal nearly every trace of the people who once lived there. Some dismissed these stories as little more than legend. Others devoted years of exploration to finding evidence that such a place had truly existed. Most expeditions ended with uncertainty, leaving the mystery of the White City unresolved. Then, during the 21st century, new technology transformed the search. LiDAR scanning allowed researchers to detect subtle shapes beneath the forest canopy, revealing patterns that could not be seen from the ground. The discoveries did not prove the existence of a mythical city exactly as legend described. Instead, they revealed compelling evidence that the rainforests had been hiding remarkable archaeological landscapes beneath its dense canopy for centuries. The Mosquitia region of Honduras has long remained one of Central America's least explored landscapes. Its remote forests have protected countless archaeological sites from agriculture, large-scale development, and many of the changes that transformed other regions. Researchers believe several complex societies lived in these forests between approximately 1000 and 1500 CE. They established permanent settlements that were carefully adapted to the tropical environment and supported by long-term agricultural practices. Although these communities traded with neighboring cultures, they also maintained their own artistic traditions and social structures. Their settlements formed part of a diverse and interconnected world, rather than belonging to a single unified civilization. Unlike the Maya, these societies left behind relatively few written records. Archaeology, therefore, plays the central role in reconstructing their history, with carved stone sculptures and ceremonial spaces providing valuable clues about their beliefs and daily lives. The legend of La Ciudad Blanca, often translated as the White City, has been passed down for generations. Indigenous traditions describe ancient settlements hidden deep within the rainforest, preserving memories that endured long after the cities themselves faded from view. Spanish chroniclers also recorded accounts of wealthy communities said to exist beyond the reach of colonial expeditions. Over time, these reports blended with local traditions, gradually forming the enduring legend of a magnificent lost city hidden within the jungle. Throughout the 20th century, numerous expeditions searched for the legendary White City. Dense vegetation, rugged mountains, heavy rainfall, and difficult terrain slowed nearly every journey, making exploration both physically demanding and highly uncertain. Many explorers believed they had found the legendary city, yet few produced convincing archaeological evidence. For decades, the rainforest kept its secrets, leaving researchers with intriguing clues, but no clear conclusion about what truly lay beneath the trees. Everything changed with the introduction of LiDAR technology. By sending harmless laser pulses through small gaps in the forest canopy, researchers could produce detailed maps of the landscape hidden beneath the dense tropical vegetation. Instead of seeing only trees, scientists began identifying terraces, earthworks, plazas, and carefully shaped mounds. Hidden beneath the forest was clear evidence that people had once transformed this landscape on a remarkable scale. As researchers explored these newly mapped locations, they discovered archaeological features that strongly suggested long forgotten settlements. The evidence pointed toward organized communities rather than isolated structures scattered through the forests. The discoveries did not reveal one enormous city exactly matching the popular legend. Instead, they uncovered an extensive network of previously undocumented archaeological sites, suggesting that the rainforests had preserved the remains of multiple ancient settlements. After media reports, the phrase "lost city of the monkey god" became widely recognized. However, many archaeologists caution that there is limited evidence showing the ancient inhabitants themselves ever used such a name. Rather than focusing on later legends, researchers concentrate on the archaeological evidence itself. Careful mapping, excavation, and scientific analysis provide a stronger foundation for understanding these ancient communities and stories passed down over time. Current evidence suggests that multiple settlements existed across the region instead of a single legendary metropolis. Some communities may have shared political or economic relationships, while others likely developed independently within the rainforest. Because many areas remain intentionally unexcavated, protecting these sites has become a priority. Archaeologists recognize that preserving artifacts in their original context often provides more valuable knowledge than removing them as quickly as possible. Archaeologists studying the Mosquitia region emphasize how new technologies are transforming the search for ancient cities. LiDAR has revolutionized exploration by revealing hidden landscapes beneath dense forests without cutting down a single tree. Finding ancient structures is only the beginning. Discovering who built them, how they lived, and why their settlements were eventually abandoned requires years of excavation, laboratory research, and careful interpretation of the evidence. Researchers also work closely with local communities and indigenous knowledge holders. Their understanding of the landscape, oral traditions, and cultural heritage provides valuable perspectives that complement archaeological investigation and scientific analysis. Perhaps the greatest lesson of La Ciudad Blanca is that legends can sometimes preserve distant echoes of real places. The details may change over time, but beneath generations of storytelling, fragments of genuine history may still survive. Despite recent discoveries, archaeologists believe many ancient settlements remain hidden beneath the forests of Honduras. Each new survey reveals additional clues, suggesting that the landscape still holds many chapters of history waiting to be explored. Researchers continue to ask whether these communities formed a single political system or developed as independent societies connected through trade, shared traditions, or regional cooperation. At present, the available evidence does not provide a definitive answer. Many other questions remain unanswered. What languages did these people speak? What beliefs guided their ceremonies and traditions? With so few written records, archaeology must slowly piece together their story from artifacts, architecture, and the surrounding landscape. Why these settlements were eventually abandoned remains uncertain. Archaeology offers only partial answers. The rainforest continues to protect many of its secrets. Every expedition uncovers new evidence, but the larger picture is still taking shape. Every expedition to the Mosquitia rainforest uncovers new clues about the people who once lived here. Yet each discovery also reveals how much of the landscape remains unexplored, reminding researchers that many important answers still lie hidden beneath the forest. Archaeology advances through careful observation rather than dramatic discoveries alone. Every artifact, every layer of soil, and every surrounding detail contributes valuable information that helps reconstruct the lives of communities whose written histories have largely disappeared. Some mysteries are not waiting for a single dramatic breakthrough. Instead, they will be solved through hundreds of careful investigations, each adding another piece to a much larger historical puzzle that continues to grow with every new season of research. The rainforest still guards many of its secrets. Hidden beneath the trees are stories that have survived, not because they were remembered perfectly, but because nature quietly preserved the landscapes where they once unfolded. La Ciudad Blanca reminds us that history does not always disappear. Sometimes it simply becomes difficult to see, concealed beneath forests, protected by mountains, and waiting for careful questions to uncover its story. Nature can hide remarkable chapters of human history without erasing them completely. Beneath roots, soil, and generations of growing forest, traces of ancient communities remain, waiting to be understood through careful archaeological research. While jungles can conceal entire civilizations, the sea can hide them even more completely. Far below the surface of the Mediterranean, another ancient city rested unseen for centuries beneath layers of water and sediment. In our next chapter, we descend beneath the Mediterranean to explore Thonis-Heracleion, a once thriving Egyptian port city that vanished beneath the sea. Its remarkable underwater remains continue to transform our understanding of the ancient world through one of archaeology's greatest discoveries. Thonis-Heracleion, the city that slipped beneath the sea. Imagine looking across the calm waters of the Mediterranean just before sunrise. The sea appears almost perfectly still, while distant fishing boats drift quietly across the horizon. Nothing on the surface hints at the extraordinary history hidden below. Beneath these gentle waves rests an entire ancient city. Hidden below the surface are stone temples, towering statues, ancient harbors, and streets that have remained untouched for more than 1,000 years beneath the sea. Massive stone temples, grand statues, and once busy harbors now rest in complete silence beneath the Mediterranean. What was once a thriving gateway to ancient Egypt has become one of archaeology's most remarkable underwater discoveries. For centuries, historians debated whether this remarkable place had truly existed. Ancient texts described a prosperous Egyptian port, yet no one knew where it had gone. Many believed it had vanished forever beneath the passage of time. At the beginning of the 21st century, underwater archaeologists searching the seafloor made an extraordinary discovery. The city had not disappeared from history. Instead, it had remained preserved beneath the waters of the Mediterranean for centuries. Ancient writers such as Herodotus describe Heracleion as an important Egyptian port. Their accounts preserved memories of a prosperous city that stood at the meeting point of the Nile and the Mediterranean, welcoming travelers and merchants from distant lands. According to later Greek traditions, legendary figures such as Helen of Troy and Paris were said to have visited the city before the Trojan War. Although these stories belong to mythology rather than confirmed history, they reflect the city's lasting place in the ancient imagination. Archaeological evidence paints a clearer picture. Thonis-Heracleion flourished during the late period of ancient Egypt before gradually losing importance as Alexandria emerged as the Mediterranean's dominant port after its founding in 331 BC. As Alexandria grew into one of the Mediterranean's greatest ports, commercial activity gradually shifted away from Thonis-Heracleion. Even so, the older city remained inhabited for centuries, continuing to serve local communities and religious traditions. The city's decline was gradual rather than sudden. Long after Alexandria became the leading center of trade, people continued to live, worship, and conduct business in Thonis-Heracleion, preserving its role within the Nile Delta for generations. Known to the ancient Egyptians as Thonis and to the Greeks as Heracleion, the city occupied a strategic position near the mouth of the Nile. Its location made it one of Egypt's most important gateways to the Mediterranean world. Long before the rise of Alexandria, ships arriving from across the Mediterranean entered this busy port. Merchants unloaded valuable goods, officials collected taxes, and travelers carried news, languages, and ideas from distant cultures into Egypt. Merchants from across the Mediterranean met in the city's marketplaces, exchanging valuable goods alongside ideas, languages, and traditions. Thonis-Heracleion became a place where commerce connected cultures without the need for conquest. Temples dedicated to Egyptian deities stood beside busy commercial districts. Religious life and international trade existed side by side, making the city an important meeting place where local traditions and foreign visitors regularly crossed paths. Large ceremonial boats moved through the city's canals during important religious festivals. Priests, musicians, and local communities gathered in elaborate processions that celebrated traditions closely connected to both the river and the sea. For centuries, water shaped every aspect of life in Thonis-Heracleion. The Nile sustained its people, the Mediterranean connected it to distant civilizations, and the waterways that brought prosperity would eventually play a central role in the city's fate. In the year 2000, underwater archaeologist Frank Gaudio and his team announced discovery of the submerged city in Abu Kirbay. Years of careful exploration had finally confirmed that the ancient port described in historical sources was a real place beneath the sea. Using sonar technology, underwater mapping, and systematic excavation, researchers gradually uncovered the city's hidden layout. Advanced surveying techniques made it possible to investigate an archaeological landscape that had remained invisible for centuries. Divers uncovered colossal stone statues, temple ruins, granite monuments, hundreds of anchors, dozens of ancient shipwrecks, and thousands of everyday objects. Together, these discoveries transformed centuries of historical debate into well-supported archaeological evidence. These remarkable discoveries confirmed that the ancient historical accounts refer to a genuine city. Yet one important question remained unanswered. How had such a prosperous port gradually disappeared beneath the waters of the Mediterranean? Current evidence suggests that no single event caused the city's disappearance. Thonis Heracleion stood on the soft, water-saturated sediments of the Nile Delta, where the ground beneath large structures could gradually become unstable over long periods of time. Researchers believe earthquakes may have triggered a process known as soil liquefaction. During this phenomenon, water-filled sediments temporarily lose their strength, causing heavy buildings to sink, as the ground beneath them behaves more like a liquid than solid earth. Combined with gradual coastal changes and rising sea levels over many centuries, these geological processes slowly altered the landscape. Rather than vanishing overnight, different parts of the city likely slipped beneath the water across generations. Most archaeologists conclude that the submergence of Thonis-Heracleion resulted from multiple natural processes acting together. Its story is not one of a single catastrophic disaster, but of slow geological change unfolding over hundreds of years. Marine archaeologists describe Thonis-Heracleion as one of the most significant underwater discoveries of modern times. Its remarkable state of preservation has provided an extraordinary opportunity to study an ancient Egyptian port almost exactly where it once stood. Unlike many ancient cities that were repeatedly rebuilt over time, large portions of Thonis-Heracleion remained protected beneath layers of mud and sand. Those sediments acted like a natural archive, preserving delicate artifacts in remarkable condition. Underwater archaeology demands extraordinary patience. Limited visibility, shifting sediment, and the delicate condition of submerged artifacts require every discovery to be carefully recorded before anything is moved from its original location. Researchers often compare the work to assembling an enormous historical puzzle beneath the sea itself. Every newly documented structure and artifact adds another important piece to the story of a city that once connected civilizations across the Mediterranean. Despite years of underwater exploration, much of Thonis-Heracleion still remains hidden beneath layers of sediment. Archaeologists believe that many neighborhoods, monuments, and harbor structures have yet to be carefully documented beneath the floor of Abu Qir Bay. Researchers continue to ask important questions. How many neighborhoods still lie beneath the seabed? How large was the city's permanent population? Every new survey expands our understanding, yet many parts of this remarkable port remain beyond the reach of excavation. Many mysteries also surround the city's religious life. Archaeologists continue studying what ceremonies filled these temples, how festivals unfolded along the canals, and what role these traditions played within one of ancient Egypt's most important maritime communities. Exactly how quickly different parts of Thonis-Heracleion slip beneath the water remains uncertain. Future advances in underwater archaeology may answer some of these questions, while others may remain hidden beneath layers of sediment for many generations to come. Every new expedition reveals another piece of the city's remarkable story. Hidden beneath layers of sediment are structures that continue to reshape our understanding of Thonis-Heracleion and its role in the ancient Mediterranean world. Every object recovered from the seabed is carefully recorded before it is moved. Its position, surrounding sediment, and relationship to nearby structures all provide valuable information that helps archaeologists reconstruct the history of the ancient city. The sea has preserved many secrets, but it hasn't revealed all of them. Vast areas of the ancient city remain unexplored, offering the possibility that future discoveries may transform our understanding once again. Some mysteries are not waiting for one extraordinary discovery. They will be answered through decades of patient research, careful excavation, and advance in marine archaeology that continue to reveal the hidden history beneath the Mediterranean Sea. Thonis-Heracleion reminds us that history is not only buried beneath deserts or concealed by forests. Sometimes it rests beneath quiet waters, preserved for centuries until new technology allows us to rediscover what memory had nearly forgotten. The story of this remarkable city reminds us that landscapes can change dramatically across centuries. Rivers shift, coastlines evolve, and thriving communities may eventually disappear beneath environments that appear calm and familiar today. Yet another remarkable place awaits us. Far to the east, in present-day Lebanon, Enormous stone monuments have stood for thousands of years, raising questions about engineering, construction, and the remarkable abilities of ancient builders. In our next chapter, we travel to Baalbek, where some of the largest stone blocks ever used in ancient construction continue to inspire admiration and careful debate. Their immense scale challenges us to better understand the ingenuity of the people who built them. Baalbek, the stones that challenge the imagination. In the fertile Bekaa Valley of present-day Lebanon, enormous stone columns rise toward the sky. Even after earthquakes, wars, and the passage of nearly 2,000 years, they continue to dominate the landscape with extraordinary strength and beauty. Visitors often find themselves looking upward in silence. It is not only the grandeur of the temples that inspires awe, but also the astonishing engineering that made structures of this scale possible in the ancient world. Beneath these magnificent temples lie some of the largest stones ever used in ancient construction. Several foundation blocks weigh hundreds of tons, demonstrating an extraordinary level of planning, organization, and engineering skill. Nearby, an unfinished stone block rests where ancient workers left it. Estimated to weigh more than 1,000 tons, its enormous size immediately raises a question that continues to fascinate historians and engineers alike. Standing beside this unfinished block, it becomes difficult to appreciate its true scale. It is longer than many modern houses and heavier than almost anything most people encounter, making its intended purpose an enduring subject of study. An obvious question soon follows. How were stones of such extraordinary size moved, and why did ancient builders choose blocks so much larger than those used in most other monumental structures across the Roman world? The answers remain the subject of careful research rather than simple explanation. Archaeologists continue to investigate how this remarkable complex was built, using evidence preserved within the stones themselves and the surrounding landscape. The city known today as Baalbek became part of the Roman Empire during the 1st century BCE. Over the generations that followed, Roman architects transformed the sanctuary into one of the largest and most impressive temple complexes of the ancient world. Construction at Baalbek continued across several centuries. Thousands of skilled workers, engineers, stonemasons, carpenters, and craftsmen likely contributed to the project, demonstrating the remarkable organizational ability of the Roman world. The Romans inherited knowledge from earlier civilizations while developing engineering techniques of their own. They constructed roads spanning continents, aqueducts supplying entire cities, monumental bridges, theaters, and public buildings that transformed the ancient landscape. One of the defining strengths of the Roman Empire was its ability to organize labor on an extraordinary scale. Large projects depended not only on engineering knowledge, but also on careful planning, logistics, and the coordinated efforts of thousands of people. Baalbek reflects this tradition of ambitious construction. Yet even within Roman architecture, the enormous foundation stones remain exceptional, inspiring generations of scientific investigation alongside centuries of curiosity and speculation. Baalbek has been inhabited for thousands of years, long before the monumental Roman temples were built. The site likely held religious importance for earlier communities who gathered here within the fertile Bekaa Valley. Its strategic position made Baalbek a natural meeting place between the Mediterranean coast and inland regions. Trade routes crossing the valley brought merchants, travelers, and ideas together, strengthening the city's importance over many centuries. During the Roman period, Baalbek became one of the empire's greatest religious centers. Magnificent temples dedicated to Jupiter, Bacchus, and Venus transformed the city into an important destination for pilgrimage, ceremony, and public celebration. The Temple of Jupiter stood upon an immense stone platform. Within its foundation are several gigantic blocks, known today as the Trilithon, each weighing an estimated 800 tons or more, making them among the largest stones ever placed in ancient construction. Not far from the temple complex, archaeologists discovered even larger unfinished stone blocks still resting in the ancient quarry. Because they were never transported, these remarkable monoliths preserve valuable evidence about the ambitions and methods of their builders. These unfinished stones reveal how ancient workers separated massive blocks from the surrounding bedrock. Every cut reflects careful planning and skilled craftsmanship, offering rare insight into one of the largest stone quarrying operations of the ancient world. Even by today's standards, moving stones of this size would demand careful engineering and detailed planning. In the ancient world, such achievements required organization, patience, and the combined effort of large, highly coordinated workforces. The scale of Baalbek continues to inspire admiration because remarkable does not necessarily mean impossible. Its enormous stones challenge our imagination while reminding us that ancient engineering often exceeded what modern observers first expect. Few archaeological sites have inspired as many dramatic theories as Baalbek. The immense scale of its stones naturally captures the imagination, encouraging people to ask how such extraordinary achievements were possible in the ancient world. Some writers have proposed lost technologies, forgotten civilizations, or even extraterrestrial assistance. These ideas often attract attention because the stones appear almost unbelievable, but they are not supported by reliable archaeological evidence. Instead, researchers examine what is known about ancient engineering. Historical evidence and experimental archaeology show that large stones could be moved using sledges, ropes, earthen ramps, wooden supports, and carefully organized teams working together. Exactly which methods were used at Baalbek remains uncertain because no surviving written description explains the process in detail. Several engineering models have been proposed, and it is possible that different techniques were combined during different stages of construction. Archaeologists and structural engineers often describe Baalbek as a reminder of what organized human societies can accomplish. Rather than diminishing the achievement, careful study continues to deepen our appreciation for the builder's remarkable knowledge and planning. Modern observers sometimes underestimate what ancient societies could achieve with sufficient time, planning, skilled labor, and careful organization. Baalbek demonstrates that extraordinary construction did not require impossible technology, only remarkable human capability. The unfinished stones preserved in the quarry provide valuable clues about the construction process. They reveal where builders worked, how enormous blocks were separated from the bedrock, and offer insight into techniques that written history never fully described. The unfinished monoliths suggest practical decisions rather than mysterious disappearances. Construction priorities may have changed, political circumstances may have shifted, or resources may have been directed elsewhere. In archaeology, unfinished projects often preserve some of the most valuable evidence. Despite extensive archaeological study, many important questions about Baalbek remain unanswered. Every season of research adds new information, yet the full story of this remarkable sanctuary continues to develop through careful investigation. Researchers continue to ask why builders selected stones of such exceptional size when smaller blocks might also have supported the structure. The decision reflects ambitions and engineering choices that are still being carefully examined today. Another enduring question concerns transportation. Which combination of engineering methods proved most effective, and how many workers were required to move the largest stones safely from the quarry to the temple complex? Researchers continue to ask why builders selected stones of such exceptional size when smaller blocks might also have supported the structure. The decision reflects ambitions and engineering choices that are still being carefully examined today. Future archaeological investigations may provide additional answers. As surveying methods continue to improve, researchers are gathering increasingly detailed information about ancient quarrying techniques, engineering practices, and the remarkable planning behind this monumental complex. Every tool mark preserved in the stone offers another clue. These unfinished surfaces reveal how ancient builders planned their work, providing evidence that often proves more valuable than speculation about technologies that left no archaeological trace. Some details of Baalbek's construction may never be fully recovered. The builders left behind extraordinary achievements carved in stone, but they did not leave written instructions explaining every stage of the engineering process. Even without every answer, Baalbek continues to demonstrate what determined and highly organized societies could accomplish. Its monumental stones remain a lasting testament to human ambition, engineering, and the enduring value of archaeological research. Baalbek reminds us that the greatest mysteries often begin with ordinary questions. How was this built? Who organized such extraordinary work? And how much knowledge has survived the passage of time? The builders left behind remarkable monuments, but not the instruction manuals that explained every decision. Archaeology continues to piece together their methods from the evidence preserved in stone, one careful discovery at a time. As our journey continues, we leave the valleys of Lebanon and travel east toward the tropical landscapes of Cambodia. There, another extraordinary civilization transformed its environment through ambitious engineering on an immense scale. In our next chapter, we explore Angkor, where vast canals, reservoirs, and monumental temples reveal an empire of astonishing scale. Its story demonstrates how advanced engineering, environmental change, and the passage of time reshaped one of history's greatest urban civilizations. Angkor, the city where water built an empire. As dawn breaks over the forests of Cambodia, the first rays of sunlight spread across a vast, still moat. The water reflects the ancient towers so perfectly that they seem to float upon the surface, creating one of the world's most unforgettable landscapes. Slowly, the outlines of Angkor Wat emerge from the morning mist. His graceful towers rise like blooming lotus flowers above the surrounding forest, revealing a masterpiece of architecture shaped by extraordinary craftsmanship and vision. Birdsong echoes through the trees, while a gentle breeze moves the surrounding palms. At first glance, Angkor Wat appears to be a single magnificent temple, standing peacefully within a landscape shaped by centuries of history. Yet beyond these familiar walls lies something far greater. Hidden beneath forests and fields once stretched one of the largest urban landscapes on Earth, a vast city sustained not by machines, but by an extraordinary system of water management. This immense city was powered by water. Its greatest achievement was not only its magnificent temples, but also the invisible engineering that supported agriculture, transportation, and daily life across an extraordinary urban landscape. The Khmer Empire depended upon careful water management. During the rainy season, enormous amounts of water fell across the landscape, while the dry season demanded reliable systems capable of storing and distributing that precious resource. To meet this challenge, Khmer engineers developed one of the medieval world's most sophisticated hydraulic systems. Canals connected enormous reservoirs known as barrages, allowing water to be stored, redirected, and shared across surrounding farmland. This remarkable infrastructure supported large populations and helped stabilize agricultural production. The prosperity of Angkor depended upon maintaining a delicate balance between nature and engineering, refined and expanded by generations of skilled builders and planners. Angkor served as the heart of the Khmer Empire, one of Southeast Asia's most influential civilizations. Between the 9th and 15th centuries, its rulers governed a vast territory while building one of the largest urban landscapes in the medieval world. From its center at Angkor, the Khmer Empire expanded across much of present-day Cambodia and neighboring regions. Its influence spread through trade, administration, religion, and monumental architecture that reshaped the landscape for centuries. In the early 12th century, King Suryavarman II commissioned the construction of Angkor Wat. Originally dedicated as a Hindu temple, it later became one of the most important Buddhist religious sites in Southeast Asia. The walls of Angkor Wat are covered with extraordinary carvings portraying mythology, royal ceremonies, battles, and scenes from everyday life. Together, these detailed reliefs preserve a remarkable visual record of the Khmer world. Yet Angkor was never just a collection of magnificent temples. It was a living city where homes, workshops, marketplaces, roads, canals, and reservoirs formed an immense urban landscape supporting a thriving population. Most of the city's residents lived in wooden homes that no longer survive today. Daily life unfolded in neighborhoods filled with artisans, merchants, farmers, monks, and families whose stories are now preserved mainly through archaeology and historical inscriptions. Recent archaeological surveys using LiDAR technology have transformed our understanding of Angkor. Beneath forests and fields, researchers discovered a vast urban network extending far beyond the famous temple complexes visible today. The temples survived because they were built from durable stone. The homes and workshops surrounding them were largely constructed from wood and other organic materials, gradually disappearing as the forest slowly reclaimed the city over time. For many years, historians searched for a single explanation for Angkor's decline. Some pointed to military invasion, while others believed religious change or environmental disaster alone could explain what happened to this remarkable city. Today, researchers believe the evidence tells a more complex story. Scientific studies indicate that the region experienced periods of severe drought, followed by unusually intense monsoon rains, placing enormous pressure on Angkor's carefully managed water system. Canals designed for one pattern of rainfall struggled to cope with changing environmental conditions. Maintaining such an enormous hydraulic network became increasingly difficult as climate variability placed growing demands on the system. At the same time, political instability, regional conflicts, and changing trade networks likely added further challenges. Rather than one dramatic collapse, Angkor appears to have undergone a gradual transformation shaped by many interconnected factors. Rather than collapsing in a single dramatic event, Angkor appears to have experienced a gradual transformation over many generations. Its political center eventually shifted southward, while the monumental temples continued to shape the cultural and religious landscape. Importantly, the Khmer civilization itself did not disappear. Religious traditions evolved through time, and Angkor Wat continued to serve as an important Buddhist temple, preserving centuries of cultural continuity despite political change. Modern archaeological research has transformed our understanding of Angkor. What once appeared to be isolated temples is now recognized as part of one of the largest urban landscapes in the pre-industrial world, extending far beyond the monuments visible today. Experts describe Angkor as one of history's greatest examples of urban planning, architecture, agriculture, transportation, and water management form a single interconnected system that sustained a remarkable civilization, while also revealing the challenges of maintaining such complexity over time. Researchers using LiDAR have fundamentally changed our understanding of Angkor. What once appeared to be isolated temples is now recognized as part of an enormous urban network connected by roads, canals, reservoirs, and carefully planned neighborhoods. Ancient roads linked ceremonial centers across the landscape, while previously unknown neighborhoods emerged beneath the forest canopy. These discoveries reveal a city far larger and more organized than archaeologists once imagined. The city's canals and reservoirs demonstrate how engineering supported agriculture, transportation, and daily life. Together, these systems allowed Angkor to flourish for centuries by carefully balancing the opportunities and challenges of its natural environment. Experts also emphasize that Angkor demonstrates both the strengths and vulnerabilities of complex societies. Sophisticated infrastructure can sustain remarkable growth, but it must continually adapt as environmental conditions and human needs change over time. Despite decades of archaeological research, many important questions about Angkor remain unanswered. Much of the greater urban landscape still lies beneath forests, rice fields, and centuries of accumulated soil waiting to be explored. Researchers continue to debate how many people lived within the greater Angkor region during its peak. Estimates vary, but the evidence suggests one of the largest and most sophisticated urban populations of the medieval world. Many aspects of ordinary life remain unknown because most homes were built from wood and other materials that did not survive. Archaeologists continue searching for clues that reveal how families lived, worked, and experienced the gradual transformation of the city. Every archaeological season reveals new structures, inscriptions, and evidence that deepen our understanding of Angkor. The city itself has not changed, but each discovery allows historians to reconstruct its remarkable story with greater clarity. Modern archaeological technology continues to transform our understanding of Angkor. Each new survey reveals hidden roads, canals, neighborhoods, and monuments that expand the story of one of history's greatest urban civilizations. Every newly discovered inscription and architectural feature provides another piece of Angkor's history. Archaeologists carefully document each finding because its location and context are often just as valuable as the object itself. Many questions remain unanswered. Beneath forests and cultivated fields, countless structures may still await discovery. Each excavation adds another fragment to a story that continues to grow richer with every passing year. The story of Angkor continues to evolve, not because the city itself is changing, but because our understanding grows with every careful investigation. Each new discovery brings us closer to understanding one of the greatest achievements of the ancient world. Modern archaeological technology continues to transform our understanding of Angkor. Each new survey reveals hidden roads, canals, neighborhoods, and monuments that expand the story of one of history's greatest urban civilizations. When these carefully maintained systems flourished, the empire prospered. As environmental conditions and political circumstances changed, maintaining such a vast network became increasingly difficult, gradually reshaping the city rather than bringing it to a sudden end. Our journey now carries us far from the forests of Southeast Asia to the high desert landscapes of the American Southwest. There, another remarkable civilization created homes unlike any we have explored so far. In our next chapter, we explore Mesa Verde, where the ancestral Pueblo people carved remarkable homes directly into sandstone cliffs. Their enduring architecture and the questions surrounding their departure continue to inspire archaeologists and historians today. Mesa Verde, the cliff, city left behind. In the high deserts of the American Southwest, the first light of morning slowly spreads across towering sandstone cliffs. The landscape appears quiet and timeless, where wind, stone, and centuries of natural change have shaped one of North America's most remarkable archaeological settings. From below, the towering cliff appears almost completely unbroken. Only dark shadows fill the deep alcoves carved by wind and time, offering little hint that the entire communities remain hidden within the stone itself. Then, as sunlight slowly enters the canyon, hidden architecture begins to appear. Stone walls, narrow windows, doorways, and ceremonial spaces emerge from the shadows, revealing an entire neighborhood carefully built within the shelter of the cliffs. From a distance, these remarkable homes seem almost impossible. Their builders did not fight against nature. Instead, they used the cliffs for protection from rain, wind, and intense summer heat, creating a settlement that blended naturally into the surrounding landscape. For more than 7 centuries, these remarkable homes have remained suspended between earth and sky. Their enduring walls continue to overlook the valleys below, preserving the memory of generations who once lived within these sheltered cliffs. Yet, one important question continues to fascinate archaeologists and historians alike. Why did the people who invested such extraordinary skill in building these homes eventually choose to leave them behind? The ancestral Pueblo peoples developed highly adapted ways of living in this challenging environment. Their farming depended upon seasonal rainfall, careful planning, and generations of knowledge about the surrounding landscape. Communities throughout the Southwest maintained extensive trade networks linking distant regions. Turquoise, pottery, shells, and other valuable materials travel hundreds of kilometers, connecting people through exchange, cooperation, and shared cultural traditions. Religious life played an important role within these communities. Ceremonies held in circular spaces known as kivas strengthened social bonds while expressing deep connections between people, the landscape, and the natural cycles that shaped everyday life. By the late 13th century, many settlements across the Mesa Verde region were gradually being left behind. Rather than a sudden departure, the archaeological evidence suggests that communities relocated over time as circumstances changed. Many families migrated southward and eastward into regions where Pueblo communities continue to live today. The people themselves did not disappear. Their descendants have preserved languages, traditions, and cultural knowledge across many centuries. The mystery is not the disappearance of a civilization, but the movement of communities. Today, descendant Pueblo peoples continue to preserve cultural traditions that connect the present with the remarkable achievements of their ancestors. Mesa Verde, located in present-day Colorado, is one of North America's most remarkable archaeological landscapes. Across these mesas and canyons, Generations of ancestral Pueblo families built communities that adapted closely to the challenges of the high desert environment. Beginning around the 6th century CE, the ancestors of today's Pueblo peoples established farming communities across the region. They cultivated maize, beans, and squash while building villages that flourished on the broad mesas above the surrounding valleys. Then, during the late 12th century, an important change took place. Many communities began constructing elaborate settlements within natural cliff alcoves, carefully adapting their architecture to the shelter provided by the surrounding canyon walls. Among these remarkable settlements, Cliff Palace stands as the largest and most famous, with more than 150 rooms and numerous ceremonial kivas. It represents one of the greatest architectural achievements of the ancestral Pueblo world. The builders shaped local sandstone with remarkable care, fitting each block into strong and durable walls. Wooden beams supported the roofs, while plaster finished many interior surfaces, creating comfortable homes designed for long-term community life. Ladders connected different levels of the settlement, allowing residents to move efficiently between homes, storage rooms, and ceremonial spaces. Every available area within the cliff alcove was carefully planned and thoughtfully used. The cliffs provided natural protection from rain, strong winds, and the intense heat of summer. By working with the landscape rather than against it, the builders created homes that remained remarkably well suited to their environment. These cliff dwellings were not temporary shelters. They were thriving communities where generations lived, worked, celebrated important ceremonies, and raised families, creating lasting homes that reflected both practical knowledge and cultural tradition. One question has fascinated archaeologists for generations. Why did the residents of Mesa Verde eventually leave these remarkable cliff communities after investing so much skill and effort in building them? Tree ring analysis provides one of the most important clues. Ancient timbers preserved within the cliff dwellings indicate that the region experienced a prolonged period of drought beginning in the late 13th century, placing increasing pressure on farming communities. Reduced rainfall would have affected crop production and increased competition for food, farmland, and water. These environmental pressures likely made it increasingly difficult for large communities to remain in the region over long periods. Archaeological evidence also suggests growing pressure on local resources and changing relationships between communities. While some sites show signs of conflict, researchers continue to study how environmental, social, and political factors together influenced the decision to relocate. Rather than one sudden crisis, the archaeological evidence points toward a gradual process that unfolded across several decades. Communities adapted by relocating to regions offering more dependable resources and stronger social connections. Migration became a strategy for survival rather than a sign of cultural collapse. Families carried knowledge, traditions, farming practices, and ceremonies with them, ensuring that their communities continued in new places across the Southwest. Today, Archaeologists emphasize that Mesa Verde should also be understood through the perspectives of descendant Pueblo communities. These cliff dwellings are not simply archaeological ruins, but ancestral places that continue to hold deep cultural and spiritual significance. Researchers increasingly work in partnership with indigenous communities to better understand architecture, ceremonial spaces, and patterns of migration. This collaboration combines archaeological evidence with living cultural knowledge, enriching our understanding of Mesa Verde's history. Experts also remind us that the famous cliff dwellings represent only one chapter in a much longer story. Earlier villages stood on the mesa tops, while later communities flourished in new regions after migration reshaped the cultural landscape. The history of Mesa Verde is therefore one of continuity rather than disappearance. Communities adapted to changing conditions, carrying their traditions, knowledge, and identities into new homes where descendant Pueblo peoples continue to live today. Despite decades of research, many personal stories remain beyond recovery. Archaeologists continue to ask why some families stayed longer than others, and how individual communities organized their decisions to migrate across the region. Questions also remain about the ceremonies that marked the closing of homes and how much knowledge continued through oral traditions rather than written records. Each new discovery adds valuable evidence, yet many personal experiences remain beyond archaeology's reach. The walls still stand, and many everyday tools remain where archaeologists carefully uncovered them. Yet the conversations, hopes, celebrations, and the ordinary moments of the people who live here have quietly faded beyond the reach of history. Even so, the landscape continues to preserve extraordinary evidence of their achievements. Every carefully placed stone reflects generations of knowledge, cooperation, and adaptation that allowed these communities to flourish in a demanding environment. Modern research continues to deepen our understanding of Mesa Verde. Archaeologists, conservation specialists, and descendant Pueblo communities work together to preserve these remarkable places while learning more about the people who once called them home. Mesa Verde continues to reveal new insights with every careful investigation. The city itself remains unchanged, but each discovery helps us better understand the resilience, creativity, and enduring legacy of the ancestral Pueblo people. Mesa Verde reminds us that leaving a city does not always mean leaving a culture behind. People move, traditions continue, and communities adapt, carrying knowledge and identity into new places across generations. Our journey has crossed deserts, mountains, jungles, rivers, and oceans. Each ancient city revealed not only remarkable achievements, but also the many different ways human societies adapted to changing landscapes, opportunities, and challenges. Every forgotten city reminds us that archaeology is not simply about discovering lost places. It is about carefully asking questions, following evidence, and understanding how people lived, adapted, and shaped the world long before our own time. In our final chapter, we reflect on what these remarkable places truly teach us. Beyond their mysteries and monuments lies a deeper story about human curiosity, resilience, and the enduring search to understand the past through the evidence it leaves behind. What the lost cities leave behind. Our journey began with a single question: how can an entire city disappear? Since then, we have crossed deserts, climbed mountains, explored rainforests, descended beneath the sea, and discovered remarkable places that history nearly allowed the world to forget. We walked through deserts where ancient streets disappeared beneath drifting sand, climbed mountains where forgotten walls still touched the clouds, entered forests that concealed civilizations for centuries, and explored cities resting beneath quiet seas. Every city revealed a different mystery. Some challenged our understanding of engineering, while others reminded us how little survives from everyday life. Each offered a unique window into the remarkable diversity of human history. Perhaps the greatest mystery was never the cities themselves. It was how easily time transformed certainty into questions, and questions into stories, patiently waiting for future generations to rediscover through careful observation and evidence. As our journey reaches its final chapter, the ruins seem quieter than before. The answers become fewer, and history gently reminds us that some of its greatest lessons are found not in certainty, but in the questions that remain. During the last century, archaeology has undergone a quiet revolution. Researchers no longer depend only on ruins visible from the ground. Today, satellites help identify ancient landscapes that remain hidden for generations. LiDAR reveals cities beneath forests. Radiocarbon dating establishes reliable timelines. Ancient DNA reconstructs family relationships, while chemical and environmental studies help archaeologists understand how people once lived within changing landscapes. Every new technique helps recover another forgotten chapter of history. Yet each discovery also reveals how much more complex the past truly was, replacing simple explanations with richer and more detailed understandings of ancient civilizations. When we imagine the ancient world, it is easy to think of civilizations as permanent: great walls, towering temples, and powerful kingdoms seem timeless. Yet history tells a very different and far more dynamic story. Every civilization existed within a changing world. Rivers altered their paths, rainfall varied across generations, forests expanded, coastlines shifted, and trade routes opened or closed, reshaping the lives of communities over time. The cities we explored were rarely abandoned because people simply disappeared. In many cases, their descendants continued living elsewhere, adapting to new environments while preserving traditions, knowledge, and cultural identity across generations. Each city followed its own unique path through history. Together, however, they reveal a shared human story of creativity, resilience, adaptation, and the remarkable ability of societies to respond to an ever changing world. Mohenjo-Daro reminds us that advanced urban planning existed thousands of years earlier, than many people imagine. Petra shows how trade could transform a remote desert settlement into one of the ancient world's most important international crossroads. Machu Picchu reveals how architecture can exist in harmony with the natural world. Tikal demonstrates that sophisticated cities once flourished beneath forests that later concealed their monuments beneath generations of growing vegetation. Great Zimbabwe stands as enduring evidence of the remarkable achievements of African civilizations. La Ciudad Blanca reminds us that legends sometimes preserve distant echoes of real places, while Thonis-Heracleion shows how nature can quietly reclaim entire cities beneath the sea. Baalbek invites admiration for ancient engineering while encouraging careful evidence over dramatic speculation. Angkor reveals the extraordinary relationship between water and civilization, while Mesa Verde reminds us that migration can represent resilience, continuity, and the enduring strength of human communities. Throughout history, mysterious places have inspired extraordinary stories, legends of lost continents, forgotten civilizations with impossible technology, and visitors from distant worlds continue to attract attention because mystery naturally encourages the human imagination. Archaeology follows a different path. Evidence is examined carefully, ideas are tested repeatedly, and new discoveries are compared against what is already known. The strongest explanations are those that remain supported by multiple independent lines of evidence. History often proves more complex than a single dramatic explanation. Sometimes environmental change reshaped civilization. Sometimes economic transformation mattered more than warfare. In many cases, several different forces gradually worked together across generations. Accepting uncertainty does not make history less fascinating. It makes our understanding more honest. The greatest achievement was never impossible technology, but the extraordinary accomplishments of ordinary people working together through observation, cooperation, creativity, and persistence. Historians often say that the past is never truly finished. Every excavation raises new questions, and every carefully documented artifact has the potential to reshape our understanding of people who lived long before our own time. Archaeology is not simply the study of monuments, it is the study of human lives, families sharing meals, children learning traditional skills, farmers watching the seasons, builders shaping stone, and travelers crossing distant landscapes. The magnificent ruins we admire today were once filled with ordinary moments. Decisions made by rulers, the work of skilled artisans, and the daily routines of countless families together shaped civilizations whose stories continue to unfold through archaeology. Researchers also recognize the importance of uncertainty, saying the evidence is not yet complete is not a weakness. It is a commitment to following the evidence wherever it leads, allowing knowledge to grow with every new discovery. Even today, one of archaeology's greatest questions remains unanswered. How many ancient cities still lie undiscovered beneath forests, deserts, mountains, glaciers, or the quiet waters of distant coastlines? Countless stories disappeared alongside languages that are no longer spoken. Many voices have been lost forever, leaving archaeologists to reconstruct the past from fragments preserved in stone, pottery, landscapes, and the traces of everyday life. Future technologies will almost certainly reveal discoveries we cannot yet imagine. New methods continue to transform archaeology, allowing researchers to ask questions that previous generations had no way of investigating. The honest answer is simple: we do not know everything, and perhaps we never will. Yet every generation contributes another piece to the puzzle, bringing humanity a little closer to understanding its remarkable shared history. As night settles across the world once more, the lost cities return to silence. Though separated by continents and centuries, each landscape continues to preserve the memory of the people who once called these remarkable places home. Some cities remain hidden beneath forests, others rest beneath quiet seas, stand within mountain valleys, or overlook vast deserts. Together, they remind us that history survives in many different landscapes, patiently waiting to be understood. Although these places are separated by thousands of years and vast distances, they share one enduring truth. Human history is far larger than any single discovery, any single civilization, or any single generation can fully understand. Every ruin reminds us that civilizations were built by ordinary people whose hopes, fears, ambitions, and dreams were not so different from our own. Their achievements continue to inspire curiosity long after their voices have faded into history. Perhaps somewhere beneath an untouched forest, another forgotten city still waits, hidden beneath roots, soil, and centuries of growing vegetation. Its story may remain preserved until future generations ask the right questions. Other discoveries may still rest beneath drifting desert sands, hidden beneath glaciers, or lying quietly beneath coastal waters. Much of Earth's archaeological record has yet to be explored, reminding us how incomplete our understanding of the past remains. Every generation inherits both knowledge and unanswered questions. With each careful excavation and every new scientific discovery, we move a little on closer to understanding the remarkable journey of our species across thousands of years. History is never truly complete. Every discovery opens the door to new questions, and every unanswered mystery invites another generation to continue exploring the extraordinary story of humanity's shared past. As night settles across the world once more, the lost cities return to silence. Mohenjo-Daro rests beneath quiet stars. Petra glows beneath the desert moon. Clouds drift across Machu Picchu, and Tikal breathes quietly beneath the rainforest canopy. Great Zimbabwe stands unchanged through the centuries. Hidden settlements remain beneath the forests of Honduras, while the Mediterranean continues to protect Thonis-Heracleion, Baalbek, Angkor, and Mesa Verde. Each preserve their own quiet chapter in humanity's shared story. Though separated by continents and thousands of years, these remarkable places share one enduring truth. Human history is far greater than any single discovery can reveal, and somewhere beneath untouched landscapes, another forgotten city may still be waiting in silence. Every ruin reminds us that civilization were built by people whose hopes, fears, and dreams were not so different from our own. Thank you for joining this journey through the lost cities of the world. May their quiet echoes remain with you, inspiring curiosity, thoughtful exploration, and a deeper appreciation for humanity's remarkable past. As the final echoes of these ancient cities fade into the night, our grand journey together gently comes to a close. The ruins will continue to sleep peacefully beneath the stars, and now it is time for you to do the same. Let the silence of the past wrap around you, bringing calm to your mind and rest to your soul. If these forgotten whispers brought you comfort, softly subscribe to Slumber Lore for more peaceful journeys in the dark. Rest now, sleep well, and good night.